Happy New Year, everybody. We're back to look ahead to our first ever meeting with Fleetwood Town as we clash in the third round of the FA Cup. Before that, I'm not even sure where we can begin to start summarising Christmas, to be honest. The strange one, 2 points from 9. It means it was our worst Christmas period for 8 seasons. A disappointing Christmas overall, Dave.
Yeah, it was such a mixed bag performance-wise as well, wasn't it? I think we looked here and you thought the one to attack and try and win was the Cardiff one, and we really didn't turn up, really. I know we got the point out of the game, but it was a poor performance. We didn't really like winning the game. And then the Luton game, it was just, they didn't turn up at all, did they? They got absolutely hammered. And then to produce that against Sheffield United, you just think, well, if you'd done that in the previous two, you'd have more than 2 points. It's makes no sense. But it was so frustrating to play so well the other night and then to give it away just at the last second. It was, the performance was much better and gives a bit of hope. But, as you said, points wise, it's not a great return, is it?
Yeah, it makes a big difference as well, 4 points compared to 2. And I think we're all trying to cling on to the fact that that performance was a lot better. But I said in the last show after Preston that I was hoping Critchley could be the one to give us some consistency and minimum performance levels and stuff. But we had nothing like that over Christmas. It was a surprise to me. I thought we were going to be a bit more consistent, and you wouldn't recognise we were the same team from game to game, would you? Like you were saying there, Cardiff, we were so flat. Luton, the less said, the better. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we get this high energy and intensity against Sheffield United. Is that what Critchley's big task is as QPR manager, really, to try and stop this big fluctuation between our performances? It shouldn't be that we can be so good or so bad and you never know what you're going to get. It's been our Achilles heel for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's the big issue he's got with the current team. Our best performance and our worst performance, there's mammoth gaps between them. You just saw it was basically pretty much the same team between Luton and Sheffield United, and you just saw difference in someone like Dykes, the closing down and winning the ball back, and Willock as well. You just think, where was that? What you can do it, so why didn't you do it the other night? You'd think Luton was. I know Sheffield United are one of the best teams in the league, but Luton was potentially a bigger game. You had a big crowd there. There's a local rivalry. It's been a bit heated the last few games, and there was just nothing really, was there? It was such a disappointment, and trying to bridge that gap between our best and our worst is a big challenge for him. I don't think any of the last few managers have managed it really. It was similar last year. Warburton, to an extent, had us a bit more consistent, but then even towards the end, he was awful one week and then all right the next. And even with Beale earlier in the season, you would see some terrible performances, and then we'd go on a little run again. It's a big challenge for him.
Yeah, I wonder whether the managers, especially Critchley now, are as confused as us, though, because what did he say before Sheffield United that made them come out like that, compared to Cardiff, which was like one of the worst matches anyone's ever seen? There was nothing there. It was so flat. There was no energy. He must be sat there thinking, why are you so able to perform so differently? And like we're saying, he's got to get to the bottom of that, or any manager at QPR has, even going forward, because it's what's holding us back, isn't it?
I do think one of the things that affects us and has done for quite a while is the first goal in a game. If we go behind in a game, we normally lose. It's not often we come back to get anything, and you just see heads drop. But the other night, I didn't think we started particularly well against Sheffield United, but we got that first goal, and you just saw everyone's performance increase. Everyone was like, "Oh, we could win this." We were first to the ball all the time. We just looked a different team. We just can't get so affected by that first goal. We're not the only team that does it. That's why the league's so close, isn't it? But all season long, it's been the same. If you concede first, you might as well go home, and you're not going to get much out of the game.
Yeah, you feel it in the crowd though as well, don't you? I think that helped against Sheffield United. The crowd, we scored, everyone was up with behind the team. Whereas you compare that to like Burnley, especially, we conceded early in that game, and everyone was just like, "It's game over," and it doesn't need to be like that, does it? Well, at least we've got something different to try and get our teeth into now with the FA Cup. I personally always love the cups, and this year, like I said at the start, it's the first time we've ever met Fleetwood, a new away ground for us fans to tick off. QPR's away FA Cup record. I mean, in the last few years, it's actually probably been okay. But when I say that, it's by QPR standards. It's still an awful record. But it's only one third round exit in the last 4 seasons. And like I say, by QPR standards, that's actually not too bad. Because, of course, we had that period, like almost 2 decades at the start of this millennium, wasn't it, where we had 2 ties. I think we'd won in 18 years or something like that. And even they needed a replay. It's coming up for 28 years now since we made a quarter final. We always hold out hope. But Dave, are you someone who wants that good cup run or prioritise the league?
Oh, yeah, I'd love a cup run. I just think it's so exciting to go on a cup run. It doesn't happen very often, does it? As you just said. But, just when we go on a run, it's so exciting. You saw it last year with the League Cup. We only got to the fourth round, wasn't it? But that night against Everton was brilliant. You just want to try and get through a few rounds, maybe get a big team at home, get a bit of excitement, a bit of momentum for the second half of the season. I get the kind of talk, you must concentrate on the league, but realistically, are we going to go up this season? I don't know. Looking at the last couple of months of performances, I can't really see it now. But there's nothing really to lose by having a go in the cup, is there?
No. And I think most fans agree with us because, I mean, what if we sold over 1,000 tickets going up to
Yeah.
Fleetwood first January of the year after Christmas when there's train strikes on and stuff? It's an amazing following that's going to be there. Basically, quarter of the ground is going to be QPR fans. And hopefully the team can perform how we hope them. Have a little look at Fleetwood first. I mean, it's a shame Joey Barton isn't still there. It would have been nice to have crossed paths with him. I know it's a few years since he was there now, but they seem to like that type of character as manager because I noticed that it's former Celtic captain Scott Brown who's in charge now.
Mm.
Have you ever seen Fleetwood, Dave? Do you know anything about them at all?
I saw them on the football highlights the other night because I knew we were playing them. So that's all I've ever seen them. They won quite comfortably at Shrewsbury. But yeah, all I know is that they're a lower league team. They're playing us in the FA Cup. So banker home win, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, they're mid-table, aren't they? From what I can see on the stats, they're not winning many because they've only won 6, but they've drawn the most games in the league. Don't concede many because they've conceded less than Plymouth, who are top of the league. Sounds like they could be trying to keep things tight in most games, and that could be our nemesis if we can't get an early goal and everyone gets a little bit nervous. But it'd be nice to play a different team on it for the first time. From a QPR perspective, it's tricky to know what to expect, isn't it? I mean, do you expect for a wholesale changes, or because we're still working on a bit of a new shape, new tactics? Do you think he'll want the main players in to try and work on that again, try and get the win, like you said, get some momentum, confidence?
I think he needs to really. I mean, I don't know what kind of other options he's got than playing our best side. We've looked at a few players recently. It's like we're not winning games. Let's try. We're playing a lower league team. Let's try and beat them. On paper, it's a game we should, but it's going to be tough. You play our best team. We should be winning the game. And it's not going to do us a lot of good to go out there and get beat, and then have even less confidence. And we've got another tough game away at Reading next week. They should be going there looking for the win. I'd play the strongest possible team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they haven't even got the excuse that we've got a midweek match next week, have they?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, it's like the one match within like a 12-day span.
Mm.
There's no excuse. They should really be going for it, and hope they do. I think Willett will probably be rested. Johansson will probably surely be given another week to get over whatever it's basically been a major injury he's had when you look how long he's been out for, hasn't it? It's probably the likes of Amos, Adoma, potentially going to come in, do you think?
Yeah, potentially Amos. He's come off the bench a few times recently, hasn't he? But him coming in, I don't think weakens the team considerably. But yeah, apart from that, I wouldn't be making too many changes, to be honest. Willett with his hamstring issues, you'd think maybe to leave him out, but he could do with a bit of confidence, couldn't he? He's not been. He was better the other night, but he's not been at his best. Maybe get him, playing. Maybe get a goal or an assist or something at the weekend, and you can take him off early.
Andre Dazelle, do you have any idea why he's been missing the last few games? He's been a bit quiet on why, but he's not been involved, has he?
I think he had that. I think they said he's got that virus that was going around. I think that's why Clark Salter was out as well. So I assume he'd be back by the weekend. You never know. They do kind of keep injuries quiet, don't they? When someone's out for a week, it turns out they're for about 3 months, like Johansson. It's like, what happened there?
Yeah, I know. But Johansson, they make it sound like he's coming back, and then another month down the line, it's like we're just asking the same questions. Lyndon Dykes, want to touch on him for a moment. He was superb, wasn't he, against Sheffield United? And like you said before, why can't he play like that every week? But he still needs a goal, doesn't he? So do you think he's going to try and play him to give him that boost and a goal that he desperately needs?
I would have thought so. I mean, when you think Bond's been released today, hasn't he? So it's kind of him or Armstrong, you would have thought. I think he'll play him. I found it's so frustrating watching Dykes. He was so good the other night, but we just don't get enough players around him. He's just so isolated in the box. Like the Luton game, we were firing cross after cross into the box, but it was him against 3 centre halves the whole game. It's like he had no chance. we really got to try and help him out and get people around him, whether it's going to 2 up front or just getting Roberts to push up alongside him. But like you say, he needs a goal. I mean, you know, he did play well the other night, but against Luton, he missed 2 good chances, didn't he? And he just seems to go on these runs, didn't he? He'll score 4 or 5 goals and then he won't score for 3 months. You know, you can't if that's your main forward, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah. A question on the FA Cup in general. I mean, replays are back this year in the 3rd and 4th rounds, so it won't be going to extra time and penalties like we experienced last year. I think that's a shame. I thought it was much better just being done and dusted on the day. Where do you stand, replays or not?
Yeah, I do agree. I see why they do the replays, because of the smaller teams potentially getting a draw and going back to Man United or Liverpool, somewhere like that, so then get a big payday. But I did think it was a lot better the last few years, just going straight to penalties. You think if we do draw at the weekend, how many people are going to want to go to Fleetwood at home? It's going to be, they've half the stadium shut, wouldn't they? Yeah, I'd rather they just settled it on the day. I think it makes it a bit more exciting as well. It's more potential for an upset, because I think if you get a draw and a replay against the bigger team's probably going to win the replay, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think it's a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, they did have extra time as well in the FA Cup, didn't they, last year? So I don't know. I think there was actually more reason to have no replays this season than almost last season, because obviously we just had the gap for the World Cup. Premier League teams especially are behind with their fixtures, aren't they? None of them will be wanting any replays, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't get it. Overall then, we lost to a League One side, obviously in the FA Cup last year at Peterborough. We also seem to lose to a League One side every year in the League Cup. Here comes another League One side, Dave. How does this one turn out, do you think?
I'll try and be positive. Deep down, I'm very concerned about this. We've seen this happen to QPR too often. I think back to years ago when we had like Les Ferdinand playing for us and we lost at Stockport in the Cup somehow. So I'm not hugely confident, but I think if we play our best team, we can win this one, surely.
Yeah, I mean, Fleetwood themselves, they've got no reason to rest players. They're very much mid-table. They'll probably go for it. I mean, they must have obviously wanted to win the first 2 rounds to get to this stage. You actually made a really good point. I think first goal could be key in this game. I really hope we can get it and get over the line. But if they score first, they seem like a team who can dig in and could be the long afternoon we all dread. But I just hope we can give all the fans something to cheer about. Everyone would be wanting to be in the 4th round draw. Maybe we can get like a nice away game at Tottenham or Arsenal or somewhere like that, where we send maybe 6,000-8,000 fans. Overall, though, I think it could be a draw. The result nobody wants. I think Fleetwood would draw Kings, and QPR in the FA Cup never seem to work out, do they? But we shall see. We'll reconvene next week, see if we've made it into that hat for the 4th round, and we'll be previewing the trip to Reading. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.